What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football 24/7, 365. If you're into that, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think Ohio State can run it back? And what do you think their record will be at the end of the season? One is not dependent on the other, and I will give a projection at the end of this video. I'm making a note to myself about this because sometimes I do forget to do that. I'm also going to take this opportunity to remind you we've got an audio podcast on Apple and Spotify. And if you are kind enough to go to Apple, Spotify, leave us a 5-star review, I will send you one of these stickers in the mail gratis because it means that much to me that showed up. You listen to the podcast, give 5-star review on Apple and Spotify, and you're helping us grow the audience because right now it's quite simple, right? 136,000 people subscribe to this channel. If 10,000 of them subscribe to the podcast, listen to the podcast, everybody's in high cotton, and you get to take your show on the road. You get to add more stuff. We've already added a second angle. People were yelling at me about the lighting. We changed the lighting because I'd be listening to y'all. And frankly, I like making the show. I like being a national college football analyst at Fox Sports where I'm doing the 136. And I got to tell you, I'm having a lot of fun with this thing. Last year, that thing was a behemoth. It was like 20,000 words because I wrote something of note about everybody's team. It's not like one of these lists where we just rank the teams 1 through 136, which is kind of useless. By the way, for those of you that are wondering, Missouri State and Delaware joined the FBS this year. Hence, the 134 becomes the 136. Conference USA feels like it's had like half of the entire FBS run through it at one point or another. But in a program like Ohio State, you get really a founder to a conference dating back to the 19th century. They just hasn't changed. You just don't see that in this age of conference realignment. I mean, hell, Texas State just earlier this week decided he's leaving the Sun Belt to join the Pac-12. The Pac-12, which is basically state conference, right? Everybody from Utah State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Boise State, Colorado State, state conference, right? That's what it feels like. The zombie Pac-12 is what it feels like. But let's talk a little Big Ten football, right? Let's talk about the reigning national champions who are not the Big Ten national champions, or excuse me, national champions, not the Big Ten champions. Taking it back to what I was saying, you can be the national champs and disagree about what the record's going to be. That's cool because we got this 12-team playoff, and this year it's going to be seeded straight, right? Straight seeding, meaning 1 through 12. Those are going to be the teams that get through, not, the highest ranked group of 5 champion and whatnot, whatever, 1 through 12. We'll see what we can do with that. So I'm taking a look at Ohio State, right? And I'm asking the question that many people are going to ask, which is how much of what they did last year was happenstance? How much of what they did last year was backs against the wall, having to get it done? And how much of what they did last year can they actually repeat from this year? They lost a lot. But the cliche is they don't rebuild. They reload. Now, for something to be a cliche, it must be overused, must be abused, right? We also got to know that it's like taking the entire jar of peanut butter and spreading it across a single slice of bread. That's how overused the cliche has to be, but we say it because it's true, right? For years, we have seen Ohio State just do this. They send double-digit dues to the NFL, a lot of first-round picks, and they come back and they're just as good the next year. We can go quarterback to quarterback. Matter of fact, for the last 10 years, you could say, I'm going to take it a little bit farther. You could say 9 of the last 15 years, Ohio State has had the best quarterback in the Big Ten. And you could say for each of the last 4 years, that has been true, right? C.J. Stroud, Kyle McCord, Will Howard. Now we're going into the Julian Sayin era, we think, unless Lincoln Kienholz can surprise the hell out of me and go win that job. I just don't see that happening. Tavian St. Clair, he's going to sit back and watch. He's going to do what Julian Sayin did last year. Not going to get called into duty. Not really, right? I think we're going to see more Lincoln Kienholz in mop-up duty than we will Tavian St. Clair. He is for 2027, right? We think, but we'll see. Given what the transfer portal is, I thought that Aaron Nolan was going to compete for this job. He ends up going to South Carolina. But Julian Sayin is a dude we know can sling it, right? Number 1 player at his position in the 2023 class. Joins up with the number 1 player in the 2023 class in wide receiver, Jeremiah Smith. It ought to be fun. coming out of Carlsbad. This is a man that wanted to play for Nick Saban at Alabama, was committed to play at Alabama, had signed at Alabama, had enrolled at Alabama, and then Nick Saban pulled the rug out from underneath everybody at Alabama and announced his retirement. And then you get the mass exodus, right? Among those things, 2 prize gems out of the Tide coffers go to Ohio State. One of them is Julian Sayin. The other one is Kalen Downs, who we'll talk about a little bit later. But Sayin is the biggest wild card in all of this. We know he's got ability. We know that he can sling it. We know that Miss Terry told anybody that would listen, after Jalen Milroe crapped the bed against Texas in 2023 at Tuscaloosa, he wished that Julian was there so that he could play him in Jalen's stead. Now, some of this, I think, is recruiting. And Nick Saban is the best recruiter who has maybe ever lived, maybe, right? Depending on how you want to look at what Urban Meyer was doing at Florida and what he was doing at Ohio State, and frankly, what Eddie Robinson did at Grambling for damn near 70 years. I mean, we can keep going, and we can have these recruiting wars. Barry Switzer enters the conversation. Jackie Sherrill enters the conversation. But Nick Saban, at this juncture, we got to say, is the best in the modern game, and I think he's the best college football coach ever. I also think that he would have played Julian Sayin because Jalen didn't look good. Ty Simpson gets to go in there, throw a little bit. Tyler Buckner gets to go in there, throw a little bit. But eventually, Jalen Milroe is the guy that, at least in the college football playoff, and when he is on, he was lights out, man. He was able to beat Georgia in 2023. He beat Georgia in 2024. He beat the number 1 team in the country, and he won an SEC championship. And yet and still, my man falls to the 3rd round where he's going to go play to the Seattle Seahawks. Sayin ends up at Alabama following Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien, who was offensive coordinator at Ohio State for like 19 days, becomes a head coach at Boston College, which opens up a really cool opportunity for Ryan Day to go get Chip Kelly, who was the head coach at UCLA, to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. 1 year of Chip Kelly, national championship at Ohio State. How does that make you feel, Oregon fan who is watching this? That's how it went, right? As soon as they got out of their own way and stopped trying to force feed the ball down the middle with Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, start throwing the ball out wide, things start to happen for them. But that was with Will Howard also being able to take care of himself in the backfield, and being a grad transfer, he's got all this veteran experience to lean on. 4,000-yard passer and went Super Saiyan in the month of December into January. We're hoping that Julian Sayin can also make like Goku and hit that Super Saiyan Blue. Make like Brawly and make us forget all about Goku. Make like Brawly and have my man Vegeta going, damn, I was really trying to get Bulma. But, you know, I'm out here with Android 18, though. That's where my head at, dog. Android 18 was doing your man's no favors as a kid. None. But you can get all the Saiyan references that we're going to get out of this dude, because I hope he likes Dragon Ball Z, because ain't nothing. Black men are made of Kool-Aid, grape soda, good soul food, and Dragon Ball Z references. I'm joking. I am. I'm joking. Please don't go to your black friend. Yes, your black friend, your singular black friend, and give him all these jokes, because he's going to be looking at you up one side, down the other, like, why you bringing this to me? This dude on YouTube told you a joke, and now you want to pass it on to me? Don't do that. Don't tell my joke to nobody else. Just let that flow through you. Don't repeat that. I'm just saying. So the Dragon Ball Z stuff is, yeah, we bout it. We bowdy. Yes, we are. And if Julian Sayin can do that, we will gratefully adopt that dude into. I hope this dude comes out with the anime haircut, you know, talking his noise in the orange gi at one point. Just put on for the peoples. That's all I'm saying. It could be a lot of fun. It really could. So you get that right. Behind him, you'll have James Peoples, you have C.J. Donaldson. James Peoples, who we think could be a superstar in the Big Ten, and C.J. Donaldson, who we expect to finally reach what I think is destined for a 1,200-yard season. What C.J. Donaldson is going into Ohio State this year should be what Quinshon Judkins was last year, right? Now, Q was a monster, right? But that's what you're expecting. You need a bruiser and you need lightning, right? Lightning was Travion Henderson. This year is going to be James Peoples, and we'll see what happens behind him, along with guys that we know can go, right? Like the aptly named Turbo Rogers and Bo Jack. Man, they got dudes. I love that running back room. I love Carlos Loughlin. Any man that can come out of being a correctional officer in Memphis and be running backs coach at Oregon and Ohio State and say things like, don't bring no soft batch baked cookies around me. he can stay. He can stay. He owned the team. You know what I'm saying? He owned the team. And you seen them guns he got. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. So going on with this, I also get to this point where we have to acknowledge, yes, the Buckeyes don't rebuild, they reload. Losing 14 draft picks is losing 14 draft picks, right? You've lost Emeka Egbuka, who is the all-time catch leader at Ohio State. You lost JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer, and we ain't turning down nothing but our college. You lost Quinshon Judkins. You lost Travion Henderson, but it's Will Howard, but it's fine, right? Seth McLaughlin, but it's fine. One of the things that I point out is not the 14 draft picks. It's the 0-4 record against against Michigan since 2019. They didn't play in 2020, right? But 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, you have lost to Michigan. And that's already a big deal because Ohio State hates Michigan. Michigan turns down their nose at Ohio State. They don't really like them, but the hate is real for Ohio State. I don't really think Michigan fans hate Ohio State like Ohio State hates Michigan. Michigan's like, yeah, all right, you won a national championship, we still beat you. And Ohio State is galled to no end. Like, it is not, they do not turn down for this. People thought it was a joke, but if you go take a look at the discourse in December after Ryan Day lost that game at home to Michigan, it was, if we don't get into the playoffs, you got to let this guy go. You had state representatives taking the piss, putting in bills at General Assembly talking about, hey, no flag planting nor it's a felony, because he's making a joke about how soft he thought Ohio State fans. And you can be a lot of things at Ohio State. You can be a lot of things. You can't be soft. You can't be soft, and you can't not run the football. Okay? And they got run on, and they couldn't run up the middle against what are two of the best, the best tackle tandem in college football. But nobody cares because they're wearing maize and blue, and you're wearing scarlet and gray. You know, it just ain't going to cut it. Then you get Jeremiah Smith, who gives an interview to Manny Navarro at 707 Title, where he says, and I quote, "I just hate them. Just something about them. For the next 2 years, I promise you, I will not lose to them. I can't lose to them the next 2 years." End quote. All right, Biggin, put your gold pants where your mouth is. That is what everybody's going to say. Like, there's an Ohio State fan out there going, talk your talk, dog. That's what I like to hear. What is he supposed to say to that? I feel kowtowed. I feel that. No, he's not going to do that. Meanwhile, Michigan fans be like, dog, there's a whole class of dead people who said the same thing. A whole class. They took 4 straight L's to West. For the rest of their lives, they are winless against the University of Michigan. And they are all pros. They are dudes you know about. Yeah, it's going to be tough. But I would go back to what Ohio State fans can say, which is, we got Jeremiah Smith, we got Caleb Downs, and you do not. Which means they have the two best players in the sport, regardless of position, on both sides of the ball. We evaluate quarterback play a little differently because it's quarterback play. But if you ask anybody, who are you going to take number 1 if you don't take a quarterback, they're going to tell you Jeremiah Smith. If you ask somebody else, who are you going to take number 2? You don't take a quarterback. And it's Jeremiah Smith is gone. Caleb Downs. That's ridiculous. To have the 2 best players on either side of the ball playing for you? Man, that's 2020 Alabama stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because at the time, we talk about Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. Good night. Good luck. And that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with that sort of talent. I mean, they're even talking about Caleb Downs being able to take goal line handoffs. I'm like, nah, man. I watched that dude return the punt for a touchdown. I also watched him put that ball on the ground. Let him return more punts. Just don't let him put the ball on the ground. Oh, RJ, remember that Jeremiah Smith dropped the first pass ever thrown to him in college? And then he has 75 catches for 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns. You still want to ride this train? It's like my man came in here earlier, right? I was pointing out Hattiesburg High got Tristan Keys because he's an Adidas athlete, and Jeremiah Smith is an Adidas athlete, and Tristan Keys went to Hattiesburg High, and my mama went to Hattiesburg High. I grew up in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, until I was about 9 years old. Went to a lot of purple and gold games. Went to a lot of Tiger games. That's my mama's alma mater. It's my big cousin Rico. Shout out to him. He watched the show. His alma mater. To which I get some dude come in here and be like, yo, just so you know, my school, West Point, beat Hattiesburg High 41-14 in the state championship. I'm like, now do South Panola. Huh? Yeah, I'm looking at you. You. Tell me about that South Panola rivalry y'all folks North Mississippi got going on. I don't mess with North Mississippi. Y'all damn near Memphis. I don't mess with y'all. Oh, Oxford old ass. No. Come in here with your West Point junk. Man, you know how many high schools we got in Hattiesburg? We got Southern Miss in Hattiesburg. Get out of here with that noise. 41-14. Yes, I know. Now do South Panola. Get me in my feelings about some high school I ain't even go to. So unlike the 2023 national champs, Michigan, 2024 national champs got a head coach that ain't both for the NFL just as soon as he could. And still ain't embroiled in scandal. And that's what the Matt Weiss thing is. It's scandal. Like I'm not even mentioning sign stealing right now. I would not want my name attached to any of the things that are going on with Matt Weiss, and Jim Harbaugh's name is attached. Ryan Day, on the other hand, said, run it back. Run it all the way back. And Ross Bjork said, let me cut you, give you $12.5 million annually. You earn this. Good luck to you, sir. And Jim Knowles like, I don't like that y'all didn't invite me to parade. I'm going to Penn State. Bet. Ryan Day went and got a 3-time Super Bowl champ and or literal rocket science. And Matt Patricia. Okay, cool. Chip Kelly, hey, I'm glad that you gave me the 1 year. I'm glad I could do the rental, but I kind of want to get back to the league. Pete Carroll's doing some nasty things in Vegas, and he got that 2,600-yard rush out of Boise State. Can I go? Yes. Please, mentor. Go and be married. Meanwhile, the best wide receiver coach in the country. Yo, Brian Hartline, you ready to go, babe? Let's go. You up. Do I get to call plays now? Hell yeah, you get to call plays now. And I'll teach you everything you got to know. So now you got Brian Hartline calling plays on the offense. You got Matt Patricia calling plays on the defense. You're able to keep Matt G, safeties coach. Tim Walton back, cornerbacks coach. Ain't nobody messing with Larry Johnson Sr. Yeah, okay. You lost the offensive line coach, right? Justin is gone, right? Justin Fry. But you added pretty decent offensive line coach, Tyler Boyd. Keegan Bailey's your tight ends coach, and I think that group is going to be underratedly good. Like Max Clare and Jelani Thurman can be great. I've toyed with the idea of them going to 21 personnel. There's 2 tight ends, 1 back. Because it will give you one-on-one on the outside for Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. And if you can get one-on-one for Jeremiah Smith, you take it every single time. You make people do what Texas did. Bracket that man so that you can feed Brandon Ennis. You can feed Carnell Tate. You can feed Quincy Porter. You can feed Mylan Graham. That's the problem when you play Ohio State. They don't have one answer. They got 8. That's the problem. The other problem for Ohio State is they be getting in their own damn way. Now, yes, it's great that you were able to reload at assistant coach as well as personnel. But the thing that is going to bother the hell out of most folks, I believe, when we talk about this Ohio State team, is they're going to be top 10 going to preseason in every unit that matters except offensive line. Last year, they had 166 starts on that offensive line when they got to the start of the season. Week 10, you lose Seth McLaughlin. By then, you're down your offensive left tackle, your starting center, and then you got to move your left guard to tackle. So you're playing the game with 4 guards on the offensive line. Effectively 4 guards. And they won a national championship with that. I don't think they're going to play the game with 4 guards in 2025, which means I think they're going to be a little bit better. But it might take a little bit of time to gel. Tegra Bowl is going to be leaned on once again, right? Outside of that, what else are we talking about? We're talking about the talent being there. We're talking about them being able to do what only Georgia was able to do in a very un-Georgia-like way, right? They will be balanced. They will throw the ball all over the yard. I've given this stat before. I will continue to give the stat. Georgia has had one 1,000-yard receiver since 2002 and one 1,000-yard receiver ever. Ever. All the money in my wallet, if you know who that player is, without looking it up. I give you 3 seconds to look it up. 3, 2, 1, Terrence Edwards. Not A.J. Green, not Hines Ward, not Champ Bailey, not Brock Bowers, not George Pickens. Terrence Edwards. I don't understand it either, except they have proven, at least for Kirby Smart, we don't need wide receivers. All we need is a defense and ball control. That's it. Don't get in the way. Ohio State, they got to score. They got to be balanced to do this. So you're going to watch them keep the score down on the defense side, run the score up on the offense side. You know, practical football, as opposed to murder ball, which is what Georgia did to go back-to-back and have that 29-game win streak against SEC opponents, which is ridiculous. Looking at the schedule, Texas, obviously. Biggest game on the schedule, not named Michigan. Win that game, probably going to be the number 1 team in the country come week 2. Huge matchup, massive. You get Texas coming into Columbus. That's going to help you tremendously. The last SEC team to come to Columbus got stomped out. Stomped out. Ask Tennessee how it feels. Try to think you're going to come up there and tell Ohio State what it's going to do. It's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. Then you get Grambling, and I love that Ohio State schedules an HBCU every other year. It's fun. I enjoy it. And y'all going to get to see what it be like, what it do at halftime. I get y'all be dotting that eye, but Grambling going to be in your eye, baby. Ooh, wait. Some of y'all going to be in for a show. Do not leave at halftime. The Grambling marching band going to show out. You might win that game 50-0, though. Then you get Ohio. Another thing that I love Ohio State does is they schedule an in-state opponent, whether it's Akron, Ohio, Bowling Green, right? Or Bowling Green's in Kentucky. My fault. They always get an Ohio school. Cincinnati in there. And then we got conference play, right? They're at Washington. They ought to win. Minnesota might be tough because P.J. Fleck plays them tough, and I think the only job that P.J. Fleck wants that he would leave Minnesota for is Ryan Day's job. Would love it. Did great things in West Michigan, but it's going to be tough for them to go get a win. At Illinois, might be tricky. Brett Bielema returns 19 starters on that team from a year ago, and this is the toughest game on their schedule, right? They expect to be good. They'll probably be a ranked team when you play them, and it's going to be a low possession game because they want to play the game not unlike the way Georgia plays the game or Michigan plays the game. We want to run the ball. We want to sit on your chest, play great defense. Then you're at Wisconsin. Who the hell knows what kind of a team Luke Fickell's going to field out there. I just know that he's got to win. They're getting antsy up there in Madison. And then Penn State comes to Ohio State. And it's hard to just say that's a win, but that's a win given the record. Realize that Penn State is 0-7 against Ohio State and Michigan last 7 times they played. Realize that James Franklin's 1-15 as head coach at Penn State against top 5 opponents, and I expect Ohio State will be a top 5 opponent. Even when they had that game dead to rights in 2023, 2022, whatever the JT Tuimoloau year was, I think it was 23. Still couldn't get it done just because he took the game over, and that was that. You're at Purdue, that's a win. UCLA is coming to Ohio State, that's a win. 2 time zones for an LA team? Rutgers? Okay, sure. And then you're at Michigan, November 29th. That's going to be the game. Could lose that game to Texas. I don't think you're going to lose that game to Penn State, but you could. Maybe Illinois pushes you. So you ought to be looking at 10-1, 11-0 when you get to the game. The thing that I will tell you about the game and the thing I'll tell you about that Michigan team that I think most people have not put together. Realize that Sharon Moore beat Ohio State first with Jim Harbaugh not in the building. And then as the head coach, he is 2-0 against Ohio State when he is running the show. James Franklin can't say that. Dan Lanning can't say that. I think there's been a couple of ways to look at that game if you're an Ohio State fan. The first couple of times you lost it, it's about revenge. We're better than you. We've got a better roster than you. It's time that you learn that. Now it is much more humbling because you realize that you can win the national championship and still lose to this team. You're going to have to find a different way to go about this. You're going to have to find a different mentality to have when this game comes around because it's in Ann Arbor this year. And if Bryce Underwood is as good as advertised, it might be tougher because you have an actual quarterback to play against, but who's going to be catching the passes is anybody's guess. I mean, they don't return a receiver with more than 260 yards in Maize and Blue last year. Jordan Marshall, Justice Haynes, they're going to be a low. Offensive line will be good. Wink Martindale ain't got much in the cupboard for the defensive line, but he'll find a way. It'll be a low-scoring game. Get to that game unscathed, and then let's talk about it. Reset. Do whatever you got to do because the one thing that Ryan Day can't have going for him in this is 0-5. Because it's not about your job at that point, right? He'll keep it. He could win the national championship and lose that game. it will be the legacy. The legacy will be he won 2 national championships, but he could not beat Michigan with any kind of consistency. And the longer his career went on, the better Michigan got against him. Can't have that. That game will be about everybody's legacy. Jeremiah Smith's legacy, Brian Hartline's legacy as an offensive coordinator, play caller, Matt Patricia's year 1, Ryan Day era, name, image, and likeness, all of it. We'll ball it all up into that one outcome. Is it fair? No. But neither is being the head coach at Ohio State. This is what you came for. Heavy is the crown. Yeah. Either wear it or put it down. Either way, we're coming to play.